For over 50 years, men and women have brought their fastest machines to Daytona to challenge first the beach and then the high banks. And in those 5 decades, Daytona has grown to become the focal point of stock car racing. And again this week, the best of the NASCAR Nationwide Series has converged on the World Center of Speed. And one man definitely has a target on his back. For 3 straight years, Tony Stewart has won this race. But now with new cars, new pavement, and new desires, that streak just might come to an end. And we welcome you to a beautiful sunny day at Daytona International Speedway. A little bit of rain threw a monkey wrench into the works yesterday, but no such problem today as we're getting ready for final practice here at the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway. A lot of the drivers, Ricky Stenhouse, Trevor Bayne, they've both been very quick, both driving for Roush Fenway Racing this year. Trevor going to be doing double duty, 17 races with the Wood brothers. Of course, you recognize those eyes. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Remember when the new car made its debut here at Daytona back in July? He won that race. How about Kyle Busch, the man who won 13 races, a record last year? He's not going for the championship, remember? We'll talk more about that. You have to declare which series you're going to run for. And, of course, Danica Patrick made her debut here last year at Daytona. She's back again. And let's get the latest on what's happening down in that garage area. Let's first bring in Vince Welch.
Well, Marty, here at the NASCAR Nationwide Series garage, a new season has brought change from the cars to the point system to the championship contenders. But through these first couple of days, the biggest headline maker of all has been the speed. This newly paved track surface has produced blistering numbers. Nationwide cars topped 200 miles per hour in both practices yesterday, prompting NASCAR to make changes to the tapered spacer and then adding a restrictor plate for today's session. We're just a couple of days in and it's already been dramatic. Very fast for the drivers and a lot of fun for the fans. Dave Burns?
Now, Vince, who are the drivers who are having to deal with all that speed and all that change? Well, they include some drivers going for the 2011 championship, like Trevor Bayne, Eric Almirola, and others like them. In addition, one veteran who's running the entire series, Elliott Sadler, will also be contending all the races in Nationwide, and he knows as well as anybody, a big pileup here can mean a long uphill climb toward the 2011 championship. As well, NASCAR Sprint Cup Series biggest stars are here. Brad Keselowski, last year's Nationwide champion, Carl Edwards, Casey Kane, they're also in the race, as well as former winners Stewart, Boyer, and Kyle Busch. They're all here. In addition, one young lady who's become a NASCAR star in her own right. Jamie Little.
Well, Dave, where she goes, the crowds go. It is hard to believe it has been 1 year since Danica Patrick made her NASCAR Series debut, but her day was cut short. Watch the green car. It ends early. The learning curve was steep. Now, you need to keep in mind, though, Danica Patrick only made 13 starts last year. That's less than half of a Nationwide Series season. She's looking to do the same this year. So what is the goal this time, her second time around at Daytona? Well, she told me just this morning she's having a hard time finding drafting partners. And her crew chief, Tony Eury Jr., told me they don't trust her yet. So the goal for this final practice is to go out and push as many drivers as possible. They're not going to push her, and she needs to learn how to be a better drafter. Dr. Jerry Punch?
Well, Jamie, it should come as no surprise that NASCAR's most popular driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., is entered in this season opener for the Nationwide Series. And with this weekend marking the 10th anniversary of the loss of his famous father in that final lap of the Daytona 500, Jr. knew it had the potential to be very difficult emotionally. And it has been, but for reasons no one expected. You see, last Saturday, his Fast Cup car was wrecked in a multi-car crash in the Bud Shootout. What a downer. Then the next day, he wins the pole for the Daytona 500. And then yesterday, as you're watching here, practice accident. That's the pole-winning car. It's crashed. He's relegated to the back of the field now in a backup car. Right now, he hopes the emotional roller coaster will stop as he gets ready to get back in a Nationwide car. Yes, here's what happened last time he was in a Nationwide car back in July, driving a number 3 Wrangler Special. What a tribute to his dad. Which leads me to wonder, if Dale Earnhardt Jr. were to win here this weekend, just how much more emotion could one young man endure? Marty?
Thank you, Doc. So you may wonder why you're not hearing and seeing cars out on the track. There is your reason. In the first session this morning, Bobby Santos just drilled the safer barrier, and they're having to replace that entire section. Let's take you back and show you what happened earlier today, DJ.
Yeah, this is happening quickly. Off of turn 4, the car just makes a hard left-hand turn, hard impact into that inside safer barrier. Just speculating, looks like possibly the steering wheel could have come off there and wasn't able to get it back on to get that car righted. But as you can see, got out of the car a little bit shaken.
Well, and you can see as he did walk off limping, he is going to be okay. We'll get a final update when we get word from the Infield Care Center. They're telling us it's going to take about 25 to 30 minutes to get the repair done. It's going to give us a chance to really go in depth on some of these changes that we have seen. I mean, no matter what NASCAR seems to do, it seems like these guys find a way to go faster.
Yeah, you know, we talked a lot, and you've heard about the repaving as Vince was talking about, and we knew that was going to increase the speed some, but I think NASCAR came here wanting to see exactly with these cars what may happen if they brought them back like they were in July. They had more horsepower, but they have a lot more drag, and they thought those things may offset each other, but it didn't work that way. These cars were extremely fast in the first practice. They made a change and went faster yet, but these drivers, especially the ones with a lot of experience, have figured out how to make this two-car draft work. So once again, experience may be the determining factor of who wins, but the one thing that I've seen, we have some young guys that not only have a lot of desire and talent, but they have a little daredevil style in them that may help them get to the front on Saturday.
Well, and that's the thing. These drafts, these two-car drafts, they latch up so closely that there's so much speed in that NASCAR is having a hard time controlling the speed with power. They put a smaller plate on these cars, a smaller tapered spacer actually, after the first practice where they ran 200 miles an hour. This 202 is when they reduced the power. So it's allowed these drivers to even latch up tighter, and it makes me wonder just how much they're going to have to reduce that size or that hole with a restrictor plate or taper spacer to control the speeds. But the fans love it. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and it really has changed the whole dynamic of this, what we call restrictor plate race.
Well, the one thing that we found out from the guys that are doing double duty, it's actually harder because of the new car design to do it in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, the front and rear bumpers don't line up as well. So what they're having to do is be a little bit careful as to where they push and how hard they push, because it seems, as some of the guys have told me, if they get in there a little bit too hard, they literally get under that back bumper and can pick the rear wheels up. So they're going to have to be a little more cautious with these.
Yeah, and I talked to one of the drivers in the garage after that practice session last night. He said that the roundness of these cars versus the Sprint Cup cars makes it actually maybe not as bad as turn somebody around when they're going back and forth behind each other because of that roundness. But that other thing with the other part is getting up underneath and taking away rear grip. So it's going to be different for the drivers swapping over from the Sprint Cup side to run these cars, and they'll have to kind of get used to it.
Well, let's find out a little bit more and show you exactly what NASCAR is doing with the tapered spacer and the restrictor plate. Let's check in at the Craftsman Tech Garage with Tim Brewer.
Marty, this is your typical tapered spacer. What happens? They put it right beneath the carburetor right here. What it's used for is to restrict airflow as well as fuel. But they came down here with a 940 thousandths hole in this tapered spacer. That didn't work, like Andy said, so they anticipated just putting a smaller one on there. Well, that didn't work. So plan C is to come back and put a larger tapered spacer on, but what they're going to do, they're going to put a conventional restrictor plate under it. Look at this. This is the tapered spacer, and when it meets the restrictor plate right here, you've got a ledge. What happens there is fuel and air creates reversion, and it's literally trying to come back up. In anticipation of their speed, they're trying to use this application to slow the cars down even more.
Tim, a question for you. We know how these teams are always looking for aerodynamics. What about the increase in height? Does that create a problem for the hood?
Marty, right here, it's only about 125 thousandths thick, so the guys have different thicknesses of air cleaners that sit on top of the carburetors, so that shouldn't be a big issue.
All right, thanks, Tim. You know, you heard Dr. Jerry Punch talking about how Dale Jr.'s had a very eventful week, both good and bad. He's caught up with him. Let's talk to him, Doc.
Thank you, Marty. Yeah, we did talk about the emotional roller coaster you've been on, up and down, Saturday night, Sunday the pole. Yesterday the pole car isn't crashed. How you holding up?
Oh, I'm good. We got plenty of race cars on the Cup side. The guys at Hendrick, you know, they keep plugging away, and we've had some real bad luck, but we're going to keep racing. We're going to race today, even though it doesn't really matter how we finish in the race. We're going for the trophy, but We're working on Hellman's car right now, just trying to see. They keep changing. We didn't get to test down here with the nationwide cars, and now we're here finding out that NASCAR doesn't like what they see, so we're changing the plate and the spacer and everything else every practice, so we have to keep going out and keep trying. We'd be done practicing, but they keep changing the plate, so we have to keep going out, make sure the gear's right, make sure we don't need to change gears or whatever, and so it's a little bit of a pain in the tail, but we got one more practice and with this car, and it's in good shape. It should be fine.
Yeah, we talk about how NASCAR in this garage area is quite a bit of a family. Everybody helps each other out, and we saw that accident that Bobby Santos had a little bit ago driving for Jimmy Mings, who's been a friend of yours and mine and your dad's and everybody for many, many years. After the accident, Jimmy said he had all his money in the car. He had one car and one engine, and he was done. He had nowhere to turn. But you walked over and talked to Jimmy. I understand you may be trying to help him out.
Yeah, we got several cars up in the trailer, and we're going to see if we can get one through check and get him out on the racetrack for qualifying tomorrow, and see if he can get in the show with one of them. But we got a lot of hurdles to jump before getting the car through check, getting the springs through and everything. A lot of work to do, but we'll see if we can't put something together to get him back out there.
And that is awesome. Hey, good luck today and good luck this weekend.
Sure, man. Thank you.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Jamie?
Well, Doc, as we've talked about, Danica Patrick making her second start here at Daytona. Danica, you've had a couple practice sessions so far, but you're having a hard time finding some dancing partners. How's it been so far?
Yeah, I think, we got going with a few people yesterday, and the yellow came out, and then we got out there. And then we were able to run in a little bit of traffic, but I found that, you need to make friends. People need to want to get in line with you. So I need to get out there running with some other cars and, make some friends, commit to being a pusher out there. And it seems like as they slow us down more and more and more, it's going to be, more and more maybe like the Cup cars are running, or at least that's what Junior's saying, I guess. So I'm going to take that as truth. And so I need to get out there running with some people, get comfortable with that, get comfortable with pushing, see what that does to the car, see how it feels to me and how it feels to someone in front of me from my perspective. So, there's a lot more to do, but I think overall, I think the GoDaddy car is pretty quick. I don't know, the timing and scoring wasn't working in the first practice, so I don't really know what everybody was doing. Eric did a run, but they said they didn't time him, and there was no timing and scoring, so we have no idea how fast he went.
Now, last year you had a chance to run a couple of tracks for the second time, and you made big improvements. Your second time here, what are your expectations? What would you be happy with?
Well, finishing first, it's an easy track to get collected in, and I think that, just staying with the pack and running, there's going to be some ebb and flow to the race, I'm sure. You're going to get up, you're going to get down, but just being able to run in the pack nice and comfortable and being there for the end, I think that's kind of the story of these big tracks.
All right, learning how to draft, Danica Patrick. Let's go upstairs to Marty.
All right, thanks, Jamie. She was 24th in this morning's practice session, but remember, that was cut short, and we're waiting for cars to get back out on track. It has been an extremely eventful weekend, as you already have seen. Dale Jr., the primary car, the pole-sitting car, damaged heavily yesterday. Last night in the Nationwide Series, Brian Scott had problems. They're going to make attempts to fix that car. And, of course, Bobby Santos, and that's the reason we are at a dead standstill.
NASCAR Nationwide Series practice is brought to you by Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer delivers relief from upset stomach with pain fast. And Stouffer's, let's fix dinner.
Activity going in the garage area, hot and heavy, as there is Tony Stewart waiting to get back out for his practice session. 1 year ago, remember we talked about the fact he won this event 3 times straight. Well, that's how he did it last year, getting past Kevin Harvick and everybody else in the field. In fact, he is with our Dr. Jerry Punch.
5 wins here all in February, including the last 3 in a row, Tony. You've obviously had to own these guys here at the beginning of the season. Now, this is your first time, though, in the new configuration Nationwide car. What do you think?
I actually like it. It's, I haven't got to drive it anywhere that's got a lot of bumps. Here at Daytona, everything drives good. So, but this thing has been awesome off the truck. Kevin Harvick, Inc., they always bring me a great race car. You sit down in it and there's no dramas. It's like you drive it every week. So, but it rides really good. Obviously, the track being smooth, just makes it ride that much better. But these guys have done a really good job of having it right off the truck.
NASCAR continues to try to slow the cars down a little bit, and I guess help a lot of the drafting. I understand from talking to Dale Jr. a moment ago, the plate is going to get smaller before you guys go back out here in a few minutes. Your thoughts?
I guess it's changed 2 or 3 times since last night to today already. So, they changed it for the early morning session, and I didn't even run that session. So it's we're just standing here waiting on our plate. That's the thing that's keeping us from getting in line right now, is we don't have a plate to put on the car. But it's a hard position for NASCAR to be in, because they're trying to control how fast we're going with a new surface like this, that it's that smooth and we can push each other all the way around. They don't know till we do it where it's going to go. So they're doing a really good job of trying to control it. It's kind of putting these crew guys in a bind here, and all these engine builders, they're scratching their head and freaking out down here. So I'm glad I don't build engines. I'm glad I'm not a car owner yet in this series, because everybody's panicked down here about what the plates are going to do. But NASCAR's doing a good job. They've been on top of it, and I don't think we're all really going to know what we're going to race till we get to qualifying tomorrow.
Hey, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Tony Stewart, 15 pounds lighter than he was a year ago. And by the way, battling a cold, as you could hear in his throat, very gravelly down here. It's hoping to feel better before Sunday. Vince.
Sitting here with the champion from a season ago, Brad Keselowski, 6 wins, and back in the 22 Discount Tire Dodge. How was the offseason as champion of the Nationwide Series?
It's good. It's good to go in an offseason and have momentum. And, we spent a lot of time trying to take some of that momentum and put it over to the Cup side, for our Miller Lite Dodge, and took Paul Wolf and a couple of the crew guys from this Nationwide team over there, and hopefully that'll pay off. But kind of the cause and effect of that is we've got a lot of new people over here on the Nationwide team, so it's great to get back on track, and we're just ready to get started and see how we run.
Does it feel different for you as a champion coming in this season, not being able to defend the championship because of the new regulations regarding championship contenders?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different buzz, that's for sure. We're usually, I've never been a champion before at the NASCAR level, so it's hard to say how I would feel if I was the other way around. But, I'd like to think usually you'd walk in and, feel really good about repeating in the next year, and that's kind of the confidence that you carry with you. But, it kind of is what it is, and we still have a lot to work for here. We've got a full-time sponsor with Discount Tire every Tuesday, and more importantly, I want to get Roger the owner's title. He hasn't been able to do that, so we were really close last year, and hopefully we can finish that off.
Yep. Well done. Car's pretty good, too. He likes his Nationwide car a lot, so we'll keep an eye on Brad Keselowski, Marty.
All right, thanks, Vince. Let's talk about the speeds, because you heard them say down in the interview with Tony that they are choking them down even more. Here are the practice 3 speeds from earlier this morning. Trevor Bayne on top at 198.6, and they're going to reduce the restrictor plate again as we continue to wait for the track to be repaired. We'll talk more about the safer barrier with Tim Brewer when we come back here to Daytona. While we've got a moment, let's talk about what's coming up, because of the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We'll have qualifying tomorrow at 4 Eastern on ESPN2. And then, of course, our debut race for the season at Daytona, presented by GoDaddy.com. That's Saturday at noon on ESPN2. Sports Center at Daytona will be Saturday, 4 o'clock Eastern, following the race. And then NASCAR Now, Sunday at 9 a.m. and 10 Eastern on ESPN2. Track is still being worked on out of turn 4 on the inside, that safer barrier, and people mistakenly call it a soft wall, and I guarantee if you talk to Bobby Santos, it feels anything but soft. In fact, there's what's left of the car, and let's find out from Bobby himself. Dr. Jerry Punch has caught up with him.
Thank you, Marty. We saw Bobby limp away from that impact up there in the wall. First of all, Bobby, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little sore, but could be worse. But walked away fine, thanks to NASCAR safety and stuff. The track's safe, and thank God for that.
We saw the car abruptly turn left and then go back right. What happened?
Something in the front end just broke. Something in the steering broke. Just kind of disappointed. I know those guys worked hard. They're kind of a small budget deal and just trying hard to be here, and I guess maybe just missed something.
I know your sponsor said he put what little money he had in the car. Jimmy Means had 1 car and 1 engine. I understand Jimmy has now gone down to NASCAR to talk with him about a car that's been offered by Dale Earnhardt Jr. to help you out. How does that make you feel?
I mean, that's pretty neat. It'd be an honor to have anything to do with Dale. You know, he's great for the sport, and you know, that's pretty cool. Something I know I've heard that juniors looked up to Jimmy, so he, you know, putting back into the sport would be pretty neat.
All right, glad you're okay. We'll wait and update your story here as the day progresses. Bobby Santos out of the car doing fine, and now his spirits are lifted because of the news that he may be able to get in a Dale Earnhardt Jr. backup car. Marty?
And Doc, Bobby, one of 4 drivers trying to make their first ever nationwide start here at Daytona, along with Landon Castle, J.R. Fitzpatrick, and Brett Rowe. The work continues down on that inside safer barrier. Let's check in again at the Craftsman Tech Garage for more on the safer barriers. Tim?
Hey, Marty, NASCAR, they're interested in any aspect of safety. They do a great job with the cars, but they went one step farther. This is the energy absorbing barrier right here. And this is 1/8 of an inch thick, 8 inches across, and it's steel. But the secret to it, when it's compressed, it actually absorbs some of the energy in the foam, and it worked really well. A lot of success with that. So NASCAR, they carried it one step further. What they did, if the foam works good in the walls, they actually came back, Marty, and put this foam in both sides of the car, even absorbing more of the energy of the impact.
All right, thanks, Tim. And, of course, the safer barrier, Tony George, a big part of that when he was head of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They funded a lot of the original research for that, and the work continues. And hopefully we're going to get back to some practice here as time is starting to flee by. When this place was tagged with the moniker World Center of Speed, they had no idea, especially after laying down a new track surface for the first time since 1979. These guys have been flying around this 2.5-mile, 31-degree banked oval, and we're a bit of a delay after Bobby Santos tried to knock down the inside wall coming out of turn number 4. The work continues there on the safer barrier. Meanwhile, it gives us a chance to catch up with some of the new faces of the Nationwide Series. One of them, a man who's won the duel twice here at Daytona in 2004, 2006. He's going to go for the Nationwide Championship this year. How about it, Dave? Let's talk to Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, Marty, I guess that makes Elliott kind of a hybrid. I mean, he was a Sprint Cup Series star. Now he's in the Nationwide Series running full-time, a veteran with all these young guys. What does it feel like to you, Elliott? Do you feel like you're in the Nationwide Series? Do you feel like you're still kind of in the Cup Series, but I'm still Elliott? I mean, what's the feeling?
The feeling's great. I'm definitely in a Nationwide Series, but I definitely have a lot of experience, too, to bring, so that's always a good feeling to have. And we got really good equipment. Kevin and Delane have done a good job with this race team this winter, building me some new race cars, and we really feel like we got a good set of cars coming for the next couple races. We did put a lot of eggs in this basket for Daytona, but we feel very prepared for coming up for Phoenix and Vegas and all the rest of the races also. So it's been a fun off season, and we're looking forward to this weekend to get things going.
Saw you over there talking to Tony Stewart and talking a little strategy, I assume. There's still a lot to learn, I'm sure, with this new package under the hood, but what have you decided so far is solid strategy?
Well, I mean, I'm very fortunate because, you know, I've raced with Tony for a long time in the Sprint Cup Series, and as well as Clint Boria, and us 3 are teammates this weekend. So we're just talking strategy, different scenarios, 10 laps to go, 5 laps to go, where we need to be, what we need to be doing. I'm sure they're going to learn some more stuff today in the duels. So we're just talking strategy right now. We want to get the best finish we can get with the one main financial Chevy, and they want to do the same for their car. So we're just talking strategy. That's all. Just what we need to do, how we need to keep the cars attached. We do think the 2-car tandem is going to be very effective, especially with the restrictor plate changes that NASCAR is making. It's actually going to make it more important to be in that tandem. So we're just trying to come up with different ways and scenarios. So we're thinking about it now so we can just put it into action during the race.
Well, with that in mind, Marty, one thing we've seen so far, if those 2-car tandems are important, 2 Chevys is a potent combination.
Thank you, Dave. Take a look at the numbers for Elliott Sadler. Remember, he was in the Nationwide Series before, coming back this year. As you can see, 429 Sprint Cup starts, 130 on the Nationwide side, and 5 wins compared to 3. And the average finish at 18.9 for the Nationwide Series. Let's get one of the fresh faces of the season who also is going to be looking for that championship. How about it, Doc?
Well, Marty, it has been the feel-good story of the week, and it's maybe may be getting even better for Trevor Bain. I was walking up visiting with Trevor a moment ago. He says, just keep pinching me. You ask everyone to pinch you to wake up. Are you really living this? Third quickest car in Daytona 500 qualifying. Your quickest in that session right now in the Nationwide car. This has got to be like a dream for you.
It is, man. I tell you what, I couldn't be surrounded by better people with Roush Fenway and then the Wood Brothers team. They've given me awesome cars, and Ford Racing, the support they've put into our cars this year is really showing right now on the scoreboard. Now I just got to do my part when we get in these races that are coming up with the twins that are coming up. I got to find a buddy. You and I were talking earlier about how Kyle Busch has really been a big help. Got to go out and draft with him yesterday. So everybody's just showing a lot of support, and that's the reason that we're as fast as we are, is all the support that I've got. That Nationwide car practice right there was a lot of fun. I didn't know how those would hook up, but Ricky Stenhouse and I went out together, and we were fast, so we'll take it.
Well, with the rule change this year that the guys who are running full-time in the Sprint Cup can't get points in Nationwide and Cup, they're going to get points only in Cup. That helps you by basically becoming a major championship contender for the Nationwide Series.
It really does help us on this side. It kind of hurts us on the Cup side because we can't compete for Rookie of the Year this year, but the biggest benefit is just being able to really compete for that championship in Nationwide and still having these Cup drivers come down and race against us. They're going to push us to be better all the time. They're still going to be on the track with us, so that's really good for the fans and for everybody, but we get to be a champion this year. One of us Nationwide guys is going to be a champion, and that's exciting for all of us.
You turned 20 years of age on Saturday. How special would it be, that first big W coming right here at Daytona?
Man, that would be incredible whether it was my birthday or not. So that'd just be icing on the cake, and maybe even candles on my birthday cake. So that'd be cool.
One of the great stories here in the garage area, guys. 19-year-old Trevor Bain. Everyone's watching him later today in the duels and watching him maybe to become a major championship factor in the Nationwide Series this year.
And if he does win on his birthday, Doc, he'll be the first ever in Nationwide Series history to accomplish that feat. All right, you were hearing the story that Doc broke about how Dale Earnhardt Jr. is trying to help out Bobby Santos and Jimmy Means and that team right there, because that car is wrecked. Well, the 88 backup car, Eric Almirola, has been approved, and they're going to be getting it over to the Jimmy Means' camp, and they'll try and get it ready for what's left of this final practice. But at least it looks like he'll have a chance to get into the race. Dale Jr. talking it over with Danica Patrick, and what's Danica's expectations for next year? We'll find out when we come back.
I am looking forward to finishing the Nationwide Daytona race, as I didn't last year. It's a big chess match out there. There's passing, there's bumping, there's strategy, there's new tires, which is like a whole nother race car, and those things make it really interesting out there. So yeah, when it's all going average to good, it's really fun. Right before the race, when you get to the car, there are just so many people there, and you're just kind of hanging out. People want to come up to you all the time, and then there's just like a sea of cameras, and they keep trying to want to get these shots. It's always awkward when people are just staring at you. I don't know, what are you supposed to do? I've never really felt like the fans were so much of a distraction as much as, maybe they changed my mind frame a little bit just because I knew so many people were watching, and I want to do well because I want people to have a good reason to cheer for me. I'm a competitive driver, so I feel like almost embarrassed saying that my best finish was 19th. That doesn't sound good to me. A lot of the races, the results were not representative of really what was going on that day and how much better we were and how we maybe coulda, shoulda, woulda had a few top 15s, maybe even top 10 here and there. But you gotta finish. That's half the battle in these cars, it seems like. So I think anytime as a driver you are forced to adapt to a situation, it just makes you a better driver overall. And I started getting hit a little bit more deliberately, it seemed like, or just starting to get used as I was like a pinball, if somebody just drifted up, they just hit me, and I can't put up with that. So then you do things that are really blatant, and I just drilled somebody in the rear end at Phoenix, and It's kind of liberating to be able to dig your heels in a little bit and say, I'm not putting up with this stuff anymore. I think that what I need to keep in mind this year is that there's going to hopefully be some good races, some better races than last year even, and with some follow through on the results to get all the way to the finish line. But to remember that it's really going to be my 13th nationwide, 14th nationwide race, and when I'm done, I will only be at 2/3 of a nationwide season, so I still haven't even done a year. I need to keep that in mind, and it's hard, especially as I'm going to be going back to these tracks again and expecting a lot out of that, and this whole second season, it's not really. I mean, I have to remember that I'm still in my first season, and I hope that it goes really great, and you know, it looks as though I'm out there doing my second full season, but if it doesn't go well, then that's what I'm going to remember.
So behind the scenes conversation, in her own words, Danica Patrick. There she is talking to Tony Jr., her crew chief, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., the car owner. And of course, as we take a look at her schedule for this year, she'll be with us for the first 4 nationwide races: Daytona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Bristol. Bristol's one of 4 tracks, along with Richmond, Montreal, and Kansas, that she has never run before. And of course, she'll wrap up the season after the IndyCar campaign is over with Texas, Phoenix, and Homestead. So I want to talk to you guys about what should fans expect, and what do you guys expect?
Well, expect improvement, and I think that we saw that as she got more experience in the car last year. You know, we are a result-oriented business here, but sometimes you have to put those results to the side and say, what happened on the racetrack? Was she improving? Was she learning to race? Was she learning more about these cars? And I think we can definitely say yes. As she pointed out, as Jamie Little pointed out earlier, you know, she's not even a third of the way through a full season. You know, and I'm going to use Ricky Stenhouse Jr. as an example. Last year, the first part of the season, if we would have just looked at his results, I'm pretty sure everybody would say, kick him out. Let's put somebody else in here. He was given more of a chance to adapt to the cars and to this type of racing, and look what we saw, a totally different race driver who is here ready to win this weekend. So I think we just need to give her some more time and watch her progress with this.
Well, I saw flashes of brilliance last year out of her. She's got talent. I mean, she can drive a race car. She's the one that placed herself in this. We expect her to do well. She expects to come out here and do well. It's not unreasonable for us to have these high expectations for her to run good. So, yes, I think she can do it. The way she's going to do it is she's going to have to commit to this style of racing, this sport of stock car racing. I think it's going to be really hard for her to go back and forth. Just like she said, this is really not even her, you know, whole season if she runs all year this year. So I think that's the way she's going to get better at it, is to keep doing it.
Hey guys, I just got good word. The wall is repaired. Let's show you exactly. There they are. They're finishing up the details, and let's get the update. Vince, you've caught up with Robin Pemberton.
Yeah, Robin, what was the significance of the changes, and what all had to be repaired?
We had one panel down there. It's a 28-foot panel, which is six pyramids of foam that had to be replaced. The changeover went pretty smooth. The biggest problem is getting rid of the old panel and getting it out because of the distortion. So that was the biggest problem.
How close until we get back to the cars on the track, and how long will this practice last?
We're going to go till 5-0. And the minute we're out of the way and the jets go by, we'll be ready to roll.
Thanks, Robin. Marty?
All right, thanks for the update. As we'll step aside for a quick break, and that's what it looked like right after Bobby hit it, and now it's as good as new. And there's the repair, and we'll get back to hopefully some green flag practice. The All-Star festivities continue on ESPN tomorrow night. The BBVA NBA Celebrity Game as NBA legends Bill Walton and Magic Johnson coach a mix of celebrities and NBA stars from the past. Where else are you going to see people like Scottie Pippen and Chris Mullin mix it up with Justin Bieber, Rob Kardashian, Zachary Levi, Jason Alexander, and more? The BBVA NBA All-Star Celebrity Game on ESPN tomorrow at 7 Eastern. Justin Bieber's not even tall enough to be out there.
That'd be like me and Brad Daugherty playing basketball.
Let's check in with Doc. What do you have?
Marty, let's take you inside a stock car to hit the wall at over 170 miles per hour. This is Bobby Santos Chevrolet, and Bobby said something broke in the car. Let's show you what happened. Basically, as he tried to turn the steering wheel here, the pitman arm at the steering box in the front snapped, and of course, it would not turn. He hits the wall. I'm going to pull that wheel off so you can see what happened. Now, Bobby's sitting here in this brand new Nationwide car, and the driver has been moved closer to the middle of the car to increase the safety parameters inside the cockpit. Look at these door bars here. He slammed the wall at 170 plus mile per hour, Behind that energy-absorbing foam they have in the cars now, everything moved in, but still he had about 4 inches before it got to the driver. The seat flexed, but came back into position, and that's why everything worked inside the cockpit, and Bobby Santos was able to walk away essentially unscathed. For more, let's go to our Craftsman Tech Garage and Tim Brewer.
The car is built to make the driver safer. Yet my favorite is the Hans device because it literally attaches the helmet and doesn't let it go forward. But there again, we got a variety of seats. This is a Joy seat, which we've got inside the cutaway car, but we were over at Hendricks the other day. This is the carbon seat, but this is Andy Petrie's favorite. He tried to rogue it out of my tech garage yesterday. It's one made by Steve Richardson, but all of them are SFI certified, and NASCAR has standards on the thickness of all the material as well as the construction of the seats. They're real serious about all the safety aspects in racing. Guys?
Thank you, Tim. Guess what? We've got race cars on the track. Final practice for the NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener here at Daytona. And on down that long backstretch, there is Stephen Wallace, going to be doing double duty this weekend, racing in the Daytona 500 for the first time in his young career.
This shot right here just gives you an idea how smooth the racetrack is since they've repaved it.
Yeah, that used to be extremely rough up on top of the racetrack right there. You had to really fight the car, but these guys tell me that from the bottom to the top that this is a very smooth track.
Right now you see the tape on all the grill openings in front of the car. He's making a simulated qualifying run. So his first lap being a 50.9. It's 176 miles an hour. That's that new plate they put on now. So we'll see just what the speeds will be. Now they'll be quite a bit higher once they get drafting and you see two cars really latched together. We'll see just how fast they can go.
So go on board with Stephen. 15 total drivers are attempting double duty. 3 are going to do the triple. Kyle Busch, Todd Bodine, and Michael Waltrip.
As he's doing this, we'll watch. This is relatively easy. This track is so smooth, and at the speed that's going there, it's almost a little boring to a race driver right at this point in time. You want to get these qualifying efforts out of the way because it's really not very exciting. You want to get to that drafting part of the weekend.
Second lap is 178 and a half, just a little higher.
Now, in the earlier session this morning, we were seeing solo speeds at around 182 to 185. So
yeah, and drafting speeds this morning, we saw 20 miles an hour faster than that average, 198 miles an hour.
And now we've got a 5-car group coming out. Led out by Kenny Wallace in that 09. Mike Wallace right behind him. They team him up immediately. Going around the 14 of Eric McClure. That's right, he's in the 14 this year, not the 24.
We've seen these 2-car drafts be so effective. As they take these restrictor plates smaller and smaller, it's going to be interesting to me to see if they'll go back to that packed style of racing where we have a big group of cars instead of these 2-car breakaways.
DJ, we've had a lot of folks come up, I know to me and I know to you too. They've asked, why can't 3 cars get together and go even faster?
Yeah, well, what they're telling me is when you try to get in that situation is the guy in the middle is totally out of control. He's having to work so hard to stay on the bumper, and he's got a guy literally lifting the rear tires off the ground and taking air away from that he can't hold on and stay attached to the car in front. So that's why 3 cars really can't stay together that well.
Well, when you have 2 cars, you have air on the front of the front car, obviously, so it's putting downforce on the car in the front. The rear car actually has a little air going on the rear spoiler, which is holding his car stable in the rear. When you put one in the middle, he's got nothing. So it really is almost impossible for that to work.
Left side of your screen right there, Tony Stewart, Elliott Sadler. You heard earlier the comment that Jamie Little made at the top of our broadcast of how Danica Patrick could not find drafting partners because they didn't trust her quite yet because these 2 guys know each other real well.
Well, you can see right here how much trust it takes in each other to be able to do this. They are literally touching all the way around the track. You can see how Elliott's offsetting just a bit to the right. It seems like that's the style that works the best.
Yeah, and of course, Tony Stewart, as we said, won the last 3 of these. Elliott Sadler's won 2 of the 150-mile qualifying races here in the Cup Series. So both of these guys very experienced, but you can see exactly what they're doing.
Well, and the thing I'm noticing about Elliott's style is all through the corner, even down the back straightaway, he's trying to keep part of that nose out to get some air.
Just getting a little bit of cooling. That's where they're leaving a little bit more opening, I believe, and getting the air there. They found that that's the best way to cool this. and be able to stay attached a little bit longer.
Yeah, still pretty effective, even though he's all set to the right. That draft is very effective right there, and he gets just a little cooling air. You see right now what these speeds are like. They've run a complete lap now, completely touching. Yeah, 47.84. That's 188 miles an hour. That's about 10 miles an hour faster than we saw Stephen Wallace make that single car run.
There's Tony's career here at Daytona with the 5 wins. Dale Earnhardt Sr. has 7. Junior has 6 at this track. He's won at least one of the events of Speed Weeks since 2005.
Now, I think that 198 that we saw earlier was kind of the perfect storm earlier. You know, 2 cars attached, but they were also catching a group of cars. So you're getting the drafting effect with the 2 cars plus the pulling effect that you get with another group of cars. So I think that we're going to see the NASCAR has reacted, and we're going to see much slower speeds here now.
Well, my question's been answered already. We see these 2 cars pulling away from a big group of cars. I was kind of wondering if maybe getting these restrictor plates really small, that they would go back to that big group, and the line of cars could catch a couple of cars, but it's not happening.
Right now, Elliott and Tony 1-2. In fact, they're identical times. 47.37 the fastest at 189.9. And look at how they go blowing around the cars that are all alone.
Yeah, it's going to make a great race. It's going to be a lot of jockeying around, but what it's going to really make for is a terrific finish, because I'm telling you, a couple of cars get hooked up. We're not going to have any idea until they come to the stripe who's going to win this race on Saturday.
They could literally come from 15, 20 car lengths behind on the last lap and be able to make the pass if you do it just right.
On board with Justin Allgaier as he's teamed up right there and flying down the track. Let's talk about what's going to be happening on the schedule, because we've got qualifying tomorrow in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, 4 Eastern on ESPN2, and then our race presented by GoDaddy.com, Saturday, noon Eastern on ESPN2. Sports Center Daytona, Saturday following the race, and NASCAR Now, Sunday at 9 a.m. and 10 Eastern, all on ESPN2. Stay with us. Well, as you can tell, we've got a lot of cars on the racetrack now, and a lot of them are trying to work that 2-car tandem. In fact, we've been watching Danica Patrick try and get up underneath and right behind the 4 of Tony Stewart here at Daytona International Speedway, and that's about the closest she's gotten so far.
Yeah, that's the closest she's been, but she's actually right there. Believe it or not, that's actually hurting the 2 cars in trying to go faster and catch this pack that just went by them. She literally is going to have to get up there and get the front bumper attached to Tony's rear bumper.
Going around the 89 of Morgan Shepherd. Let's get an update on Danica. Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, you remember 1 year ago, Danica Patrick thought this was drafting. She said, well, isn't this the way you do it? And they said, no, you need to get up on the bumper and touch them. Remember, it's a comfort zone. She comes from open wheel racing. You don't touch cars there. You don't touch wheels either. So she's got to wrap her mind around the fact that she literally needs to touch her car with the bumper of Tony Stewart, guys. And I think it's just a little reluctance right now.
Well, she's been here 3 times, but in 3 different cars, and now 2 different track surfaces. ARCA, the old Nationwide car, the new Nationwide car, and really not much is transferring here.
Well, yeah, and it's easy for us that have done this to stand up here and say this is what she needs to do. It's a whole different story when you get out there at close to 200 miles an hour to try to make that happen. I mean, when you're, especially, just as Jamie said, it's not something she's accustomed to doing, so it's going to take time. She doesn't want to run up there and create a problem right off, so she's doing the right thing, but she is going to have to get closer to make this whole thing work.
Well, with that draft, what draft she was getting, she's moved up to the 13th position on the speed charts. Justin Allgaier is leading the way at 194.8 miles an hour. Check in now on 2 other cars. How about the 33 with Clint Boyer, and right behind him, Reed Sorensen.
Yeah, you can see these guys swap. They lost a little. They had a pretty good advantage there, but as they made that swap to cool that car, the 33 car that was behind, cool it down, they lost a little bit of time and allowed these others to catch up to them.
They did a good job, though, to be able to pull it off and not get really shuffled in this group.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. right behind, along with the 12 of Sam Hornish. That's right, Sam going to be doing a limited schedule.
That's something these drivers on the Cup side, and as this practice goes on, they're going to practice, Andy, is where to make that swap and how quickly they can make that happen without losing too much time.
That's the thing. The spotters have been on the roof clocking these cars and seeing just how much time they lose when they do that swap. And I've heard that about a second, maybe a second and a half, a lap is the least amount you can lose making it. So that's what they're trying to do, is experiment with that in practice.
Well, a lot of people pick Elliott Sadler to win the Nationwide Championship. How about Reed Sorensen? Let's get more. Dave Burns.
And Marty, as we do all these new things with the 2-car lock and the changing restrictor plate and tapered spacers, some of the usual things still apply, including gremlins. The 32 team has been chasing a vibration ever since the car has been on the track. This morning, crew chief Trent Owens told me, you know what, we've changed everything but the motor and the transmission. Guess what they did during that delay?
Transmission?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They changed the transmission. So we'll see what Reed says when he comes in, if they finally got that gremlin chased down here at Daytona.
That's always aggravating to have a vibration in the car, and it's so many things that everything's rotating: the wheels, the rotors, the drive shaft, the rear yoke on the rear end. So it's just always aggravating to try to chase that down.
You seem to find it more here at Daytona and Talladega than you do anywhere else, especially now that the track is so smooth. You're going to be able to feel these vibrations even more, but trying to track them down isn't that easy, is it?
Nope.
Remember, we talked about Brian Scott yesterday, had his issues, managed to ding that number 11 up, but it has been repaired with a lot of work by the crew back in the garage. Let's take you back to yesterday and show you what happened to Brian.
He got a little bit out of shape. Joey Logano then got into the back of him. Spun around. Looked like he might not hit the wall, but he does right at the end here.
Vince, you've got an update on the 11?
Kevin Kidd, the crew chief on this 11 car, came over from the 20 car Joe Gibbs Racing last season. Of course, Brian Scott his first year with JGR, so he was really disappointed. There's a good look at Kevin Kidd, the crew chief. So Brian Scott very disappointed with the outcome of yesterday's incident as he was trying to draft with his teammate Joey Logano. They did not have to go to the backup car, but they had significant repairs to this 11. The good news is it didn't get into the frame or the suspension. It was just cosmetic. NASCAR gave him about an extra hour in the garage last night, an extra 30 minutes this morning, but they did not go out at all in that earlier session today. So this is the first time out, and Kevin Kidd told me before practice they just feel like they're behind. So they got to get a lot of drafting work in today to get ready for what they're going to face on Saturday.
All right, Vince, thanks for the update as we're seeing Eric Almirola get up closer to Danica Patrick. We should point out Danica in that 2-car draft with Tony Stewart before they broke it off. They got up to the 3rd and 4th quickest speeds at 193.5. Let's listen in on Danica's radio.
Just be listening to the motor and move your car around the back bumper there until you hear the motor get real crisp, and then you're right in line with it where you need to be.
All right, let's talk about what Tony's telling her there.
Yeah, these engines make a different sound, and when they get to that higher pitch that you want, that means you're turning the RPMs and you're getting the most out of the draft and the engine at that particular time. So you're, as a driver, you understand that. That's how you know when things happen, and it's also without having to take time to look down at your tachometer, you know that you're locked in, and that's the fastest speed, and you're at the best spot you can possibly get.
Her car owner's right ahead of her there on the right side, the 5 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And boy, now here comes Tony Stewart split in the middle, and Dale Jr. follows.
Oh, yeah, this is the kind of racing that we're going to see all day on Saturday. It's going to be fun to watch with these new cars, the experience that these guys have, and young guys trying to get in there and be a part of this mix. It's going to make a very interesting show.
Saw how quickly Jr. was able to hook up with the 4. Brian Scott trying to make it a 3-car train.
Yeah, and where we saw that problem yesterday is right where these guys are going through the tri-oval. You think that's not that big of a deal through there, but literally this is the worst place on the racetrack for the car, the back end of the car actually getting lighter. So any touch there can create a big issue, and we've seen that happen here in the past.
Dale backs off a little bit, but not before those two proved exactly what you guys were talking about, how quickly they pulled away from the rest of the pack. Now remember, during the race, the double yellow line will be out of bounds. This is these guys letting everybody know they're coming to pit road.
See Danica, she's staying out there as long as possible here to try to find as many situations that she can put herself in.
It's Joey Logano right in front of her there. From onboard Danica's view, that's Brian Scott as she's going around on the high side. Practice continues on top of the board at 194, Justin Allgaier. ESPN, the home court of college hoops, continues tomorrow night with a Big East battle. It features two of the conference's leading scorers. Kemba Walker leads Connecticut against Preston Knowles and Louisville Cardinals. It's college basketball, ESPN Friday at 9 Eastern. The game's also available online at ESPN3.com. It's even on your phone. We're everywhere. We're everywhere here at Daytona International Speedway with our coverage of final practice for Saturday's NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener. Total of 34 cars have gone out in this final session. There goes Danica Patrick through the shot. Left side of your screen, that is Stephen Wallace leading that two-car charge.
Yes, Joey Logano working the back bumper of Stephen. They pulled away from that group just a little bit. You see how that nose is a little bit rounder than the Cup car, so that contact point is a lot smaller across the back bumper.
The driver, as they get in these two-car drafts, the driver behind really has to work hard in this situation. It may look like that it's pretty easy, but to really make it work, you have to stay attached to that rear bumper. And to do that, you have to work extremely hard. That front car will move around a little bit because of the lack of air that it's getting to its rear spoiler in this type situation. But the front driver also has to do a little bit, too, to make sure that he helps keep that car attached to it. Sometimes you have to drag the brake, maybe come off the throttle just a little bit. And it's hard to imagine you do that to go faster, but that's exactly what happens.
You notice the damage on the GameStop Toyota. That is from yesterday's incident involving the 11 of Brian Scott. Joey was also in that mix. They repaired it. Obviously have not had time to paint it. Whoa. That is not aerodynamically sound.
Like I saw an in-car shot right there of Stephen Wallace, and that cowl flap was kind of violent flapping. It looked like it actually came off the car. You see a caution here.
You see the hood moving a lot there. They've got a lot of issues here with the 40.
Don't know how long NASCAR officials will let him stay out there, but back to this two-car draft, and there is a piece, and that is the cowl flap, I think. You're right, Mandy. So we may be seeing
we will see a
red flag here pretty fast.
As soon as NASCAR sees that.
Caution is out. Oh, and it looked, did he come run right over it?
Wallace just hit it.
I'll have to check those Goodyears for sure. Question is, did anybody else hit it? It was right near the entry of turn 3 out of the chicane that they use for the Rolex 24. Okay, let's go back, and Andy, you picked this up, so take us through.
Yeah, you can see these cowl flaps right here. They get to flapping when you get into these situations with the draft, and I saw it right there. You see it fly off the car.
And then another view of it.
You can see the hood, even the hood just bouncing up and down. That air is so turbulent. You see that big spoiler on the back of the car? That air is really tripping over that, and it's just so turbulent. There you see Kenny.
So Kenny actually hit it with the nose.
Yeah, didn't get to the tires, so that's a good thing.
Those cowl flaps on what we saw right there, what they do is if the car gets turned around backwards, they open up. They're on hinges. They open up so it relieves pressure under the hood so the cars don't become airborne. When they're going straight, they're designed to be flat down and not flapping around like you saw right there. When they get in that turbulence, they do seem to get a little out of control.
So take it back to the garage. The crew will put another one on. Meanwhile, there is Tony Stewart back in the garage area as well. He is 4th on the speed charts, but it's Justin Allgaier and Jason Leffler, 1-2 at 194.8 miles an hour. And the two of them are saying, hey, that was fun. Let's do it some more. The infield a little worse for wear as we've had a number of spins throughout both Nationwide, Sprint Cup, even the trucks. But there's our top 10 speeds here in the final practice, led by Justin Allgaier. He teamed up with Jason Leffler, and they had 194.8 miles an hour. Down through with Danica Patrick, Tony Stewart when they were hooked up. Then through to Sam Hornish Jr. rounding out the top 10 at 192.3. Let's talk to Justin Allgaier. How about it, Jamie?
Well, so far so good. I talked to Jason Leffler, his new teammate, this morning. He couldn't find a dance partner. All of a sudden, you gave in. You two worked great together. Tell me about the key to getting through the corner, drafting nose to tail like you guys were.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You know, they changed the restrictor plate a little bit ago and actually made it a little bit easier. But, you know, being teammates, we got the radios connected. We're able to talk to each other and just, you know, going out there and trying to make sure you stay as centered as possible. I think you'll see the cars move around a lot, which isn't so bad, but just making sure you stay centered is kind of the key. And the Branch Chevy's been awesome, and I know Jason's been having a good time in the AccuDoc Chevy. So I was looking at the board. There's a lot of Chevrolets up there, and I'm really liking that part of it.
So what does it feel like, though? You have to look at the bumper here. All the way down, and then Jason's is next to and has orange paint all over it. What is it like being the leader of that? What does it feel like?
It's actually a lot harder to be the leader than it is the guy following. When you're the leader, you just feel like you're out there making qualifying laps. It really doesn't affect you a whole lot. But when you're the guy following, you got to make sure that you stay, right in his tire tracks, and then watch the RPMs and do all that kind of stuff. The only job the leader's got is to make sure that he doesn't drive away from you, which is something he and I have had to work on, but I feel like we've gotten it down pretty good. And in the race, as long as we can qualify somewhat close, I think you'll see a lot of that during the race.
All right, Justin Allgaier loving having 3 teammates this year. Dave?
Well, Steve Wallace has a teammate, and he's going for the championship this year. But a little interesting event there on the track. Usually don't lose pieces that you aren't run into by what happened out there.
I got bump drafted in the cow flap, I think. I don't know what happened. Yeah, the hinge broke on it. These cars are so turbulent right now. When we were out there drafting, you could see the cow flap just, doing a whole lot of moving. But man, I'm just really, really proud of these 5-Hour Energy guys, and we've worked really, really hard here in the off season. And these cars we brought down here are really, really fast by themselves. I think we'll qualify up front. Maybe even had a shot at the pole. But I'd like to thank 5-Hour Energy and all the guys back at the shop done a really good job. And I'm excited, man. This is going to be a big race for us.
You referenced the pole. They did make a qualifying run earlier today. I want to ask you about drafting partners. You ran with your teammate Michael Annette. You ran with other guys too. Where'd you find the most benefit?
The most benefit was probably with my teammate. Getting him getting used to me pushing him, me getting used to getting pushed by him. But that deal, in my opinion, is a tuning tool for the nation, or is a tool to use the last 5 or 10 laps of this deal. The bumpers don't line up near as good as the Cup cars, and I think if you try and do that stuff the whole race like the Cup cars are doing, you're just going to have one huge crash, a bunch of crashes. So it was like I told him, it's just going to be a regular draft, and then the last 5 or 10 laps will give her hell then. But I'm excited, man. These cars are fast, I'm telling you.
Well, Marty, as you know, a regular draft here is exciting, even without the 2-car lock.
He had his best finish here at Daytona last year. He came home 10th, actually led 3 laps. And, look who has made an appearance on the track finally. Kyle Busch, winner of 13 races last year. Let's get an update from Vince Welch.
Well, you see with that graphic there, Kyle Busch was 5th quickest in the earlier practice today when they were out working on some race trim issues. Yesterday in practice, they were bottoming out. That was the #1 priority today, was to get the car more stable to where it wasn't bottoming out. They accomplished that in the earlier practice. Kyle on a qualifying run now as they look to focus a little bit more on what they'll deal with tomorrow during practice. Otherwise, Kyle's been very happy with the race car. They've taken care of their objectives, drafting run in the first session and some qualifying here in the second session. And Kyle pulling triple duty this weekend. He's running the trucks, the Nationwide Series, and the Cup. So a busy weekend for Kyle Busch.
But while we got a chance, Kyle already bringing it back in. Well, how important are these practice speeds?
Well, it used to be that you came here and it really didn't mean anything as far as, what that speed showed, because you could make it whatever you wanted. But these guys actually this year now, with the qualifying procedure changed, they are actually getting themselves locked in as to when they will go out and make qualifying attempts. And it's going to be different. It's not going to be one car on the track at a time. It's going to be a couple of cars out there tomorrow. So these speeds do mean something as far as the grouping goes for tomorrow's qualifying session.
And we should point out it is based on your fastest of the sessions that NASCAR designates. The fastest 1-lap speed. As you see, Tony Stewart back out. This time he's coming up on Danica Patrick. Doc, what are you hearing?
Well, you saw Tony was 4th overall on the speed charts, but he came back in the garage area, Marty. He was not happy with the car. Said, by herself we're okay, but in a drafting pack, the car bogs down and will not suck up. He said yesterday it was fine, but with the new plate configuration, it bogs down in the draft. You saw Dale Jr. and those guys go by him a little bit ago in the earlier draft. So they came in the garage area. He spoke with teammates Elliott Sadler and Clint Boyer. They changed the airbox configuration to try to be able to get it to suck up better. Now Tony's back on the racetrack. He's going to back up from the draft and try to suck up in the draft and see how the car will pull up. He says if we can get it a little quicker in the draft, he said by ourselves, we're good enough to win this thing.
Well, right in front of him is Danica Patrick, and on our last run, we were eavesdropping on the radio, and she was talking about drafting a lot.
Not Logano and the other car, but that train that just kind of eased their way by me. There was probably about 5 of them or so. I was kind of running the middle bottom. I was just kind of waiting for them, and Chip said, hold your line, so I stayed down. But I mean, I was thinking I'll just come up in front of them. No, they're not a good. I mean, they weren't coming as fast
Yeah, and doing that, it's great advice that they're giving. And with these two-car drafts, you're going to have to be extremely careful. She was talking about pulling up in front of a group. The closing rate is extremely fast, so you'll have to be careful in that situation. So let's go to what she's doing here right now. If she wants to try to make a pass on the 09 car, she's going to have to back up just a little bit. Now the 09's pulling out to let her go. He wants to get back in and be a part of this. But if she wanted to try to make a competitive pass there, back up, get Tony Stewart in the 4 car, attached to her bumper, get a little bit of room there, and then use the draft to go by.
You know, this whole practice, she's been experimenting with different things. But I've yet to see her get locked up. She's going to learn something there when she does.
NASCAR has confirmed they are looking at sprinkles that are light over in turn number 2. You heard Danica mention it on the radio, and I don't know what we did to jinx ourselves here. Yesterday the forecast was for sunny skies, and 10 miles away from this racetrack it was clear, but all day long we had off and on issues. Ran practice for Camping World Truck Series deep into the night, and now all of a sudden they were saying sunny skies today, in fact for the rest of the week, and here we go with some more sprinkles.
Yeah, they said there was a 20% chance of showers, and I think we had 100% of that 20 right here. So.
Well, notice that Tony has not been able to draft up like he was talking about to get right back on her bumper.
Yeah, that may be somewhat with his car, but that's also, again, there's part of this is on the driver in front to get yourself attached to that car behind. Yeah, I know it's hard to imagine if you slow down a little bit to get that car attached, then you will go faster. But that's what Danica and a number of others are going to have to learn here with this.
Well, she knows all about trail braking from her IndyCar experience, so.
And it's almost counterintuitive. You've got to drag the brake a little bit to bring your back bumper right close to the front bumper of the guy behind you. And it doesn't really register that that's going to make you go faster, but it will. Once those cars latch up, the drag goes down tremendously on these cars. And so that's where the speed comes from.
You saw Tony pull out around. Mike Wallace follows in the 09, or I should say Kenny Wallace follows in the 09.
You can see Kenny had gotten close enough to Tony to give him a little bit of a push, and now we've got Mike Wallace coming around on the high side.
Mike in the 01, Shelby Howard in the 70.
Now Mike Wallace is one of the best drafters in the old style of drafting that we've ever seen here at Daytona. We'll see how he does with this. Maybe he can hook up with Tony Stewart before.
Yeah, you're going to have to think that this is right up his alley, this type of drafting and racing, getting locked up like this, because Mike does a tremendous job.
Won this race 2004, if I remember correctly. There it is. Back in the July event. We're going to step aside for just a moment. Practice continues right up until 5 minutes before noon Eastern time, so still a lot of action to come. The All-Star festivities continue on ESPN tomorrow night with the BBVA NBA Celebrity Game. NBA legends Bill Walton and Magic Johnson are the coaches. They take a mix of celebrities and NBA stars from the past. You'll see NBA legends such as Scottie Pippen, Chris Mullin. They'll mix it up with the stars of Justin Bieber, Rob Kardashian, Zachary Levi, Jason Alexander, and more. It's the BBVA NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. ESPN's tomorrow at 7 Eastern. Danica Patrick coming to pit road. Jamie, what's going on?
And Danica Patrick, they're telling her on the radio to come down pit road and just practice. Just take a look at it, remember what to do. And she's giving feedback, guys, great feedback, what it's like out there. But she did get into the back of somebody out on the racetrack. She said, all right, after this, I'm going to pull it in. Let's see what my car looks like after hitting somebody. They said, that was just a tap. So Danica just feeling around, feeling where the right lines are and seeing what her car is capable of.
Yeah, we don't emphasize enough sometimes that entry into pit road and also the exit lap. It picks up a lot of ground.
Right in the middle of where cars come. It's kind of unbelievable they don't get hit.
Tony coming down. I'm sure they'll debrief some more as Danica pulls into the garage. Reed Sorensen in the 32 has also, I guess, solved their problem, right, Dave?
90% of it, Marty. That is why they were back underneath the 32 car for Reed just a few moments ago. They're going to go back out one more time. The pinion change they made required another shim adjustment to try to get the other 10%. I know that Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage probably has opinion, probably has a shim, and can tell us what to do with it.
You're right, I probably do. Because what's really critical right here, the relationship between the transmission and the pinion itself. But how do you change that angle when it's already up under the car? You have to literally unbolt the rear end housing from the trailing arm. See the difference in the shim right here? This will change it about a half a degree by just inserting this shim right here. You can change the pitch right here a half a degree and take most of that vibration out. A lot of guys would like to see it 0, but sometimes it sets up some harmonics, causes a little bit of vibration, so you actually have to put just a little bit of angle back in it to make it get the vibration out of the car. Guys?
Thank you, Tim. As we come back out trackside, our defending series champion, Brad Keselowski, in the number 22, the familiar black and white Discount Tires machine, and it's easy to see those Dodges.
Yeah, you see that 178. That was a single car run he just made. That's very similar to most of the good cars we've seen, is that 50.3, 50.2. I think that's the speeds that we're going to see in qualifying if they remain with this package of restrictor plate and tapered spacer.
And you can see he's clicked it off and is coasting on back around. His team owner, Roger Penske, turns 74 on Sunday, so we'll wish him a happy early 74th.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, he won the July pole here in this car at 183 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see that kind of speed if they remain with this package. Almost would make sense to qualify with a bigger plate or a bigger tapered spacer and then make them shrink them up for the racing, because there's such a disparity in speed between the drafting and non-drafting laps.
Reed Sorensen back out on track. You can see the numbers from the earlier practice this morning, which was cut short by a good half hour due to the incident involving the Bobby Santos machine. As he continues around, let's check in the garage area, because Dr. Jerry Punch is caught up with Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Tony climbed out of the car talking to Dave Charpentier, their engineer, and Ernie Cope, who's the crew chief for the 2-car. And Tony, we heard from the crew that the car was bogging down a little bit in the draft, and we're going to make some airbox changes. Did they help it at all?
A little bit. My personal opinion is that they went too much on the plate here. I think it's making the air more powerful than the cars now. So, we'll see what they do with the plate. I think they made it a little bit better, but it's really, really hard to pass right now.
How about the draft? I mean, do you have a good enough car to be able to win it for the 4th time in a row?
It's I told him, I said, I think if they leave it the same, I think we know what to do in this situation. But I think it's I just think they went too far. I think what they've been doing is the right idea, but we're just every run when you're just slinging a plate at it, finally you're going to get over the top of it, and hopefully they'll give some of that back. But if not, I still think we got some tricks in our bag that we can use.
All right, thanks for your time.
Everybody, thanks.
Tony Stewart, guys, and before he got out of the car a moment ago, he was talking to some of the guys here, and they think they got enough help from their teammates, Elliott Sadler and Clint Boyer, to run up front and have a shot at the win. But Tony not pleased with what the car does when it gets caught in the middle of a long line of cars in the draft.
All right, Doc, thanks for the update. You can see Brian Scott making the exchange with Joey Logano. Logano now right behind him. And, of course, Joey, his last win at Kansas last October. Let's get an update from Vince Welch.
Well, this is exactly the situation they were in yesterday, remember? And as they came up on some traffic, Brian Scott got a little loose. Logano got into the back of him, and both cars suffered damage. Logano, the right rear quarter panel was damaged, and it was a little deeper than cosmetic damage. And, of course, this track is so aero-dependent. New crew chief Adam Stevens told me they really wanted to be cautious and make sure they got that repair done as perfectly as possible. You see it there on the right rear of the 20 car of Logano. It did affect their agenda in regards to what they wanted to get done yesterday, so they feel like they're behind a little bit today. So this drafting is important for Logano, and Adam Stevens in his first run as a crew chief over here on the nationwide side after spending 6 years on the 20 Cup car from the engineering perspective. So there's some new combinations working right here, including Logano and Brian Scott as teammates.
We saw these two cars make the swap the last lap. It cost them about 2 seconds a lap, almost 10 miles an hour average speed for the lap that they switched. You can see right now they're looking at maybe making another switch.
Yeah, I think that was just seeing if he could make a pass, if he could really pull out there. It might have been time to make that all happen, but it looked like Joey was seeing if he indeed could turn that car down These drivers are telling me that it's really hard when that back car is moving across your rear bumper to keep your car going straight and to make the fastest time. Obviously, you don't want to be making abrupt moves and making the car go in different places. So they're working awful hard to make this happen, but doing a great job.
Well, and you can see just how the different height is involved between the front of Brian's car and the rear of the 20 of Joey Logano. The clock continues to roll on. We got less than a half an hour of practice left here for the NASCAR Nationwide Series season opener. Looking high above Daytona International Speedway with Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR, and everything we've learned making tires for one of racing's most grueling proving grounds inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Practice continues to wind down here at the World Center of Speed. Justin Allgaier still on top, and the 18 went back out for at least a couple of laps, but now he has taken it back. So Kyle 27th on the speed charts. Let's check in with the new crew chief on Dale Jr.'s number 5. How about it, Doc?
Marty, don't let the beard fool you. This is not a member of the Zach Brown band. This is Chris Heroy, who is basically a hero for this team. And Chris is the new crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr., as you said. Now, Chris, your daytime job, you are the full-time engineer getting ready to go over to the Cup Garage for Mark Martin. But how special is it for you that Dale Jr. specifically asked for you to come here and be a first-time crew chief for him?
I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful for the people at JRM and Hendrick that have supported this 5 Hellmann's Chevrolet. And without all their great help, you know, it would have been 2 jobs would have been tough. But these guys have been great, and we've just been working really hard on it. And we got a good piece. We're happy. So looking forward to the race Saturday.
2 years ago, you were with Mark Martin in the Cup Series, where you guys almost won the Cup Championship, finishing second in points. Last year, you got moved over to Junior, your first time together. Tell us about Dale Earnhardt Jr., working with him as a driver, as a crew chief and engineer.
Dale's great. I mean, he's got tons of talent. You just got to talk to him, you know, get the information out, and he's right there, you know. This year, and a lot of lasts, he was really motivated and doing well, and I think you're going to see a lot of good things out of him come, you know, this year, and especially Daytona. So,
hey, good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
By the way, if you want to be a crew chief for Dale Earnhardt Jr., this young man here, a physics major at Colorado State University in college. He studied a lot of different sciences. Now he is trying to make Dale Earnhardt Jr. go faster. And by the way, they say they are very fast for Saturday. Dave Burns.
Well, Doc, after visiting the Craftsman Tech Garage and talking about the 32, I think there have been some physics majors involved in trying to solve the vibration underneath the race car there. Did you get 100% going?
We got most of it gone. I'd say probably 80%. So that makes us feel a little better. We didn't really know what it was. We changed transmissions, messed with the pinion angle a little bit, and surprisingly that pinion angle made a little bit of difference. So we did get most of the vibration out, and we'll probably sleep a little better tonight knowing that most of it's gone.
All right, what's the racing like? What does your car feel like in the draft?
Well, I've only done it one time. I got with a 33, which I think is Clint Boyer, and I was leading first. I did about 3 or 4 laps, and we switched. Did about 3 or 4 laps, and our car handled fine in front and in back. We didn't have any problems with it, and it seemed to push pretty good. We stayed intact the whole time, you know, both ways. So I don't know what the race is going to be like, but I'm assuming it's going to be just like the Budweiser shootout was the other day. So just have to wait and see. And I didn't have any issues when I needed to do the 2-car deal. So we feel okay about it, and we'll get this Dollar General Chevrolet ready and be ready for tomorrow.
And who knows, Jamie, maybe he has a new drafting partner in Clint Boyer.
Perhaps he may, but another one of the guys, one of his teammates, actually, we want to make note, this is practice. It is open right now, but nobody's choosing to go out. Jason, you were finished for the day. You guys have a lot of changes, basically a new team. Turner Motorsports, you guys went from Toyota to Chevy Power. What are some of the differences you're feeling here at Daytona?
Wow, the motor program's awesome. I got to thank all the guys at the Hendrick Motor Shop. The power is unbelievable. Brand new race cars. The Aqueduct Chevy's really fast. I got to thank Harry Scott for coming on board and sponsoring us this race. And work with Justin there, and we're going to work together in the race. I mean, you're going to have a partner to have any shot at winning this thing. And Cup guys, they're going to partner up. So Justin and I partnered up in the first practice, and we worked really well together. So I'm pumped up about that. So I just got to thank all the guys for working hard over the winter. But there has been a lot of changes at Turner, and all for the good. And got to thank all the guys for working so hard.
We're talking about all this drafting stuff, but you guys have to qualify tomorrow. You went out there. Did you get any good read on what you're going to have speed-wise for single car?
we really have no idea. I mean, it's all about the race, and you know, it's an impound race, so you just qualify wherever you can. But I think as well as the motor's run and slick as the car is, it will be somewhere up front, and I hope so. And if not, Justin and I will get hooked together, and we'll get there.
All right, very confident. Jason Leffler. Let's go over to Dave.
And Jamie, hoping to be up front is Trevor Bain. 2 single-car runs to get a qualifying feel there. I know it feels slower, but do you have any idea where you stand up?
I think we're pretty good on the single-car runs. Obviously, we were really good drafting earlier, but it feels like you're flying. So to go back and make a single-car run, you really just got to look at all the times because you can't go by feel at all after drafting. But we lined up really good. I think we can maybe get a little bit more speed before qualifying. And compared to all the guys who were doing single runs, I think we got a good hot rod here with this Ford Mustang. So just hang on to it, see what we can do.
What car does your Mustang lock up best with? Another Mustang or a different make?
Yeah, definitely with another Mustang, man. That's the way to go. So, you know, all the rear bumpers are the same on the manufacturers, but I'm hearing a lot of difference in the noses. I hear, you know, that the way the Toyota pushes is different than a Ford or a Chevy or anything, and our Fords are lining up really good. You know, I worked with Stenhouse in that first practice, and we went to the top of the board, so obviously they're pretty good, and, you know, that's going to be crucial. I think this race is going to be a lot like the Cup race where you got to have a teammate, and so it's good for us to have the 6-car to work with over here.
Sounding good in the Mustang camp right now, Marty.
And, of course, he had those third-place finishes at Gateway and Richmond last year, looking for victory #1, and maybe on Saturday when he turns 20 years old. We're going to step aside for just a brief moment. No cars on the track right now. About 15 minutes left in this final practice session. Everybody working back in the garage. You can see the sun trying to peek back out here at Daytona International Speedway as we are winding down the coverage of final practice for the season opener in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. We'll be with you right up to the top of the hour. On track right now, there you see Kenny Wallace, several other cars, Eric McClure, Shelby Howard, Scott Wimmer, Patrick Sheltra, trying to get some final work in. Sheltra in that 41, first time we've really had a chance to see him out there today.
You see that third car line, Scott Wimmer, his hood's still flapping quite a bit. I saw that earlier and saw the back panel of his car come loose. They've got that fixed, it looks like.
Shelby Howard in the 70, the 4th car in that pack.
I think Kenny Wallace got a good little hot rod this week, driving the 09 car.
Yeah, we've seen him in a number of packs and other drivers working with him, so he's going to pull aside here and see just how good his car is if he's able to pull back up. He knows what it feels like out front. Now he wants to see how well the car will run with getting behind a little bit and how well it does suck back up to this group, and can he make a pass then?
Shelby Howard tucked up behind him.
Yeah, Shelby Howard, if he can get right up next to the back bumper, we'll see just how fast this 09 will go.
Lead car Patrick Sheltra, he has had one other appearance here at the track back in '09, the July race. He finished 41st in that one. A total of 5 career nationwide races. You can see where he stacks up on the speed chart right now. Another one of those good-looking Mustangs. But, boy, I was listening to Carl Edwards last night during that practice. He said, boy, his front bumper did not match up with the Toyotas very well at all.
Those are just the kind of things that drivers are going to have to understand, who they're around. Yeah, we heard Reed Sorensen a while ago talk about he thought that was Clint Boyer in the 33 car, and I always found that as I got in races, whether it's a nationwide race or people changing in cup cars, you want to know exactly who's in what car, because you will drive a little bit differently and things that you know that you can and can't do with certain drivers. But this is taking a little step further, knowing the cars and exactly what car you're following to know that your bumper is going to line up well with certain makes.
Well, this could get interesting because you got Shelby Howard right in the middle of the pack. He is the 2nd car in line, right up tucked underneath Scott Wimmer, and here comes the 09 as well as Sheltra.
This could be a recipe for disaster if they try to keep all of these cars in contact.
Well, like you were saying earlier, DJ, the guy in the middle just can't hold on to it.
Yeah, but it even makes it difficult for that 3rd guy to hold on sometimes. You can see now Shelby Howard's able to pull out with it. I think Scott Wimmer actually got a little bit loose there. May have had to even get out of the throttle. There's difference when you're out there running a certain speed around here. And then you get this huge push that can increase the miles per hour, 5, 6, maybe 8 miles per hour. That race car does a whole lot of different things.
That car they're coming up on is the 19 of Mike Bliss. First time we've been able to see Mike out there today. He's 22nd on the speed charts. Bliss has turned a total of 12 laps. See him trying to tuck back in and get back in with these guys. Looks like Kenny's had enough fun for this run. He's going to bring it back in.
Yeah, I think Kenny might be pretty happy with his race car here. And Andy, you pointed out that he's made a lot of laps and looks like his car's pretty quick, so he may be finished.
I'll tell you what, that slow car down on the apron there, I couldn't see a number. That could have been a mess. Kenny luckily had enough room to get back out up on the track. There it is. It's the 81. That is Donnie Neuenberger. And he is just coasting on around. He's in turn 3 right now. I don't know if he's going to have enough power to get back.
Yeah, he could have possibly been making a run and then shut it off at the line.
He may not make it back. He's still a good ways away from pit road entrance.
We can tell you that Kenny Wallace has made it back to pit road, heading for the garage area. Meanwhile, out on track, Patrick Shelter continues with Mike Bliss right behind him. Stay with us. Last few minutes of the final practice as we get ready for qualifying tomorrow in the NASCAR Nationwide Series.
NASCAR Nationwide Series practice is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And Snickers brand. Snickers satisfies.
That's the view from high above looking out towards the ocean. That's the beachfront over there. And yes, there is a layer of fog. This morning you couldn't see across the street. It burned off about 8:45. And we did have one slight sprinkle. What was predicted to be sunny skies, as you can see, has turned into cloudy skies. And hopefully the weatherman will be wrong as far as not bringing any more rain. Out on track, several cars now, a total of 5, now 6 that are running. Taking a look right there at the 14 of Eric McClure and Mike Bliss right behind him. Less than 5 minutes remaining in this final practice session. Last chance to dial in what you're going to take to qualifying tomorrow. See Bliss's practice speeds earlier this morning, 31st up to 22nd in this last session. And those guys continue. Also out on track is Kyle Busch. Looks like he's on a qualifying sim.
That's what his agenda looks like, has been this whole practice session, is just making qualifying runs. His last run was a 49.98 at right at 180 miles an hour flat. So sure they want to see if they can run a little quicker. That is the quickest that I've seen of single car runs. So I think that's what we're going to see tomorrow, is right around that 50 seconds flat, maybe a little better.
He's run a total of 5 laps so far. And you're right, the first 2 sessions, 2 times out, they were just 2-lap runs, and then he brought it back in.
And you see he run that high line that first lap, trying to build up some speed and get a good indication on that second lap of what he can run.
Yeah, those speeds you said may be a little faster. They could possibly be a little slower once they go through that NASCAR route over there.
Yeah, they slowed me down in there a few times. See how gingery is that wheel. Don't want to put a lot of input into it. All it does is scrub speed. So now he's going to really concentrate on keeping the car on the bottom of the track. This lap right here.
A little slower.
That was a 50.6. That's the first lap, and it's going to be a lot slower when you run that high line. It's all about running that second lap. And right here, he's just trying to keep it right there on that yellow line without putting too much wheel in it. That's the key. See how he's just trying to put as little bit of steering input as possible.
Yeah, Kenny Schrader taught me something years and years ago when I first was coming down here and doing things. I actually would lock my elbows to the rib pads on my seat, and that way I could never turn very much. And I found that it'd be a great help, especially when we got to a qualifying type situation. Obviously in a race you turn it whatever you have to, but to get the most out of the most speed out of the car in this type situation, you just want to turn it as little as possible.
We're talking about just hundredths or thousandths of a second, but that makes a difference. And that's going to be the difference between a few spots probably in qualifying. just a tick faster. He ran about 0.06 of a second faster than he did his last run. So whatever they did was in the right direction.
180.26 miles an hour. We're under 2 minutes in this final practice.
Yeah, and down here, 600 doesn't seem like much, but I'm telling you, you become Carl Edwards and turn backflips over 600 of a second, don't you, Amy?
Jason Radcliffe, as he'll be calling the shots again this year for Kyle. Kyle will not run the entire schedule just like last year, but he's definitely going to be a factor.
Yeah, the races he's in, he is definitely a factor.
Yeah, he's going to be so much fun to watch in maneuvering around, getting the draft, pushing people to the front, taking the lead. He's going to be a show in himself just watching on Saturday.
I watched him yesterday. J.R. Fitzpatrick, he got in with him, and you could hear their spotters saying, "Tell him we're not ready for this." How about the guys as here comes Kyle into pit road? How about those that did not practice here, because we had a total of 38 cars out on the track? Landon Castle, Todd Bodine, Robert Richardson, J.R. Fitzpatrick, Derek Cope, Bobby Santos, of course, because of the crash, and Carl Edwards did not practice here in this final session. And it looks like everybody is pulling in, and the day is about over. The flag has not officially come out at the start-finish line, but let's go back to the garage area and find out what's going on. Now, one of the things that we didn't get a chance to talk about, and Jamie's going to bring us up to speed on it, is the fact that the catch can man has been eliminated this year on all 3 series. And let's talk more about that fueling situation, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys in the garage are learning just as we are as they go. Now, this is Danica Patrick's car. We've noticed there's been some rags stuck in the fueling area. That's what we've seen on most every car in the garage, but Danica's especially has been pouring gasoline, and it's actually eating the paint all the way down the left side quarter panel. And you see down on the bottom, it's just collecting this fuel, and it's frustrating for the teams because they can't figure out their exact fuel mileage. They can't get a good read on it. So what they're doing now is taking it apart. They're going to take it back and have to fix something. So they're talking about the O-ring having an issue. Some of these teams doing different things to help them fuel and be as efficient as possible. So some learning curves down here with the new fueling system, Marty.
Yeah, the way that thing is designed, it's got O-rings to seal all of that, and theoretically there shouldn't be any fuel coming out of the cars. They still have to have a vent to keep so they can get air to it, but not supposed to have fuel coming out. When you get it completely full like they do now, it has been a problem for some of the teams.
Yeah, and Andy, I would venture to say that either Saturday or Sunday we will see, because of this, it is a new fueling system, somebody not get this thing completely full, and it may cost them an opportunity if we get into a fuel situation towards the end of the race of not having enough there, maybe have to make an extra pit stop or something. So these guys are all going to be learning as they go.
Let's go back and take a look at what the used to look like when we had the catch can man involved, and it was a part of this dance that these guys did, and you can see, watch here.
Yeah, you see the catch can man was doing more than one job. He's making a chassis adjustment while he has the catch can engaged, the vent can. Gas man over there, he's going back and forth, and you see the catch man is saying, okay, the car's full, so whenever you're finished changing tires, we're good to go back here.
And the one thing that always scared NASCAR officials, look at how he's standing. His back is to traffic, and that's 43 guys that are no longer out there exposed to that potential danger.
But you can see how much different the pit stops are going to be without that guy to make the chassis adjustments. Somebody else is going to have to do it, so it's probably going to fall to one of the tire carriers.
Yeah, and also the gas man himself is going to have to take a little more time, because the catch can man used to help in that respect, but now he has to go back to get that second can. So a little bit longer pit stops is what we're going to be looking at.
Hey guys, I got a real treat for us. Dave Burns has caught up with one of my all-time favorites. Let's talk to the Silver Fox, David Pearson.
And we got to present the picture here. David is here just checking things out because his son Ricky, of course, is a crew chief on Jeremy Clement's number 51. So, David, let me ask you quick. Smooth surface out there. Was Daytona ever this smooth for you when you raced here?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's always been a hump here, you know, coming off of 4 and also going into 1. But I see that it does look like it's smooth.
Would you like to get out there? Could we put you in one and get you out there and check it out?
I don't need to do that. I don't want nobody to be pushing me.
Real quick with Jeremy now. You've been looking for speed out here, and make sure you get in the show. How's the 51 car?
51's good. We went out and drafted one time and picked up some speed there, but we just been doing single car runs mostly, and we hadn't even taped it up all the way and just trying to make it better. when you tape it up all the way and push the brakes back, you'll pick up. So I think we'll be okay for qualifying. Been trying to talk David into driving it, but he can't fit in the seat, so.
You're not going to take that.
He didn't hear me say I didn't want nobody pushing me.
That's right, that contact. They didn't do so much of that back when David drove, but man, he could drive this place, couldn't he, Marty?
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. I've always said, and many people have said the same thing, if there was no Richard Petty, we'd be calling him the king. And there's the old 21 Wood Brothers car. Wow. Take a look at the top 10's practice speeds. And on top, Justin Allgaier here in this final session with Jason Leffler. They were pushing each other. Danica Patrick hooked up with Tony Stewart. On down through the list. Let's quickly look ahead to qualifying. Who do you like for the pole?
Well, I've not seen too many single-car runs, but Kyle Busch's car seems to be fast. It looks like the Fords are fast, too, with Trevor Bayne. So it's going to be an interesting qualifying session tomorrow.
All right, let's get it set for you because qualifying will be tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. NASCAR Nationwide Series at Daytona presented by GoDaddy.com. Saturday at noon Eastern on ESPN2. And then Sports Center at Daytona Saturday following the race. And then NASCAR Now Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and again at 10 o'clock Eastern. All of it on ESPN2. Coming up next, ESPN First Take. And this has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. And so, final practice, hard on a few, especially somebody like Bobby Santos. But it's been interesting for the rest of us as we continue down the road towards Saturday. For our entire ESPN crew, I'm Marty Reed. Till we meet again.